Welcome to Junkyard Haunts, where we turn trash into haunts. Today we have a new workout program, and it is to see how much your forearm can take. So I wanted to make a Reaper's Blade, and I figured since we use trash that we're going to use an actual stick, a very long stick that has lots of grooves and courses in it. So the first step is to shave all of that down to make it nice smooth. And to do that, I just take a sharp knife, supposedly sharp knife. My brother said he sharpened it. I don't believe him. But you take that sharp knife and you just shave all of the bark off, and you shave all the nooks off too. Sometimes the knife just won't do it, even no matter if it is actually sharp. You actually need to take a saw to shave off those larger nooks. I make props every Monday, so make sure you subscribe to follow along. After we get the stick all shaved down to the smoothness that we want, then we need to make the blade. To do this, I am using cardboard, and basically you just make the shape that you want the blade to be and cut it out. But of course we need to add thickness to it, and by doing that you just trace the blade that you cut out onto more cardboard. And I'm actually doing 4 layers to try to make it much stronger and thicker, but because I only had so many pieces that would actually cover the entire blade, I actually am trying to make this stronger by making those smaller pieces not have the same crevice in each little part or the cuts going across. So the first layer I have a full sheet, the second layer goes halfway on each, and the third layer I make sure that that halfway point is completely covered by cardboard. And so I ended up having to be 3 pieces for that, and then I use a 4th layer of another whole sheet and just hot glue them all together. Doing that where you actually have those cuts secured like that will definitely make it a lot stronger. And since this is such a long piece sticking out, it's a good idea to do that. After you glue them all together, we just take our knife and actually try to make the cardboard look sharp. If you can manage to use your knife to actually sharpen the cardboard, then I am impressed. So this is all for looks, to have that nice little slant. And of course, after you get that in, we just go ahead and tape it together. Now we move on to making a skull, because the other side of it I want to actually have a skull. Now I've done this a few times in other props, and I probably will not really explain it now, instead just put a link up to those other times about what I'm doing. The main difference in this particular time is I'm actually going to make this a full skull. In the past I would leave the hole open on the bottom for my milk jug, but this time I'm actually going to put the skull into another milk jug like this and just melt that on to the whole skull, so we can get a full skull, both top and bottom. I'm just using a glove, which I could use a rag too. I just thought I'd try another way of doing it. Rag is probably better because the heat just heats up the glove, and since you never take it off, it just gets a lot harder. But after you cut it off, the whole skull, of course, you just tape it back together. That really, after you tape this back together, it actually is a pretty strong skull that will hold up on its own. It's really secure. If you ever just need a skull like that, using 2 milk jugs, melting them together works great. But for mine, I actually have to cut a little notch out so I can put it around my stick and have it be part of the actual Reaper blade. And of course we just tape that on. And like always, when I need something more secure or to look more like one full piece, we just paper mache it. Paper mache is just flour mixed with water. You want it to be fairly runny. You don't want it to be too thick. And you also don't want to dip the newspaper into the paper mache. You want to dip your hand and then just rub it across the paper mache. Make sure on the skull, because you want that to be very smooth on. So after you even put the paper mache onto the paper and you cover it up. I even went through and just put the paper mache mixture onto my hands and rubbed that skull down so it would be nice and smooth and solid that way. And then after it's done, we're going to put a base coat of black and just spray paint it all on. I use a piece of cardboard to make sure that I am not getting the actual stick with black on it. And we're just going to go ahead and paint it the colors that you would expect it to be painted with a blade, a nice gray. And of course we're going to paint the skull as well. I was still trying to figure out a good way to paint skulls, so this particular time I don't feel like I did a super great job, but I'm working on some other skulls now to hopefully I get better at painting. So if you have some ideas of the best way to paint a skull, make sure in the comments you let me know so I can get better. But for the most part I just did a nice white and mixed with some dirtiness. To actually paint the sharpness, you want that to be different than the blade itself, so I just use a lighter gray to go across that, and it will make it like a nice little shine. I think I went a little too light on mine, so if you make yours, just make it a little darker. And then we're going to go ahead and dry brush over the whole thing just to add some texture and some look to it. And again, for the skull, I also did a little bit of dry brush, a nice gray over it. And I wanted even more, so I did another lighter dry brush, actually with a black. Normally you'd put darkers and dry brush to lighter, but I was trying something different. And then after we get it all painted and all dry brushed on, I thought the blade just coming straight out of the skull looked a little funny. So to make that look more connected or like it's tied together, I'm actually just taking rope and just hot gluing it. Really the goal of the rope was just to hide that connection point from the skull to the blade so it looks more realistic. Thanks for watching that video. Don't forget to hit subscribe and don't forget to share with all your friends. Apparently I'm making lots of props that are too big to fit on the table now, so just as a reminder, we actually combined with another YouTube channel. I'm using their music to play in the background of mine, so the link is, as always, is in the description, so you can go check out his channel and subscribe to listen to some good music. Total Matrix move. Okay, that's ridiculous. Enough of that.